do this thing. Hey everybody, welcome to the Wednesday afternoon live stream. Got a couple things planned with the analog reel-to-reel and the mixer. It's not quite as organized as I'd hoped, because last night at 2 in the morning I realized I had 2 more channels to patch up, to wire up on the board. I've been kind of doing it bit by bit as we go. So I got those in, and then I wanted to hook up some reverb and stuff like that. So I think I got that all working. We've got Kit here. Now, Kit is still sick, so she's not in the room with us. She's still quarantining, so we had to stick her back in the storage room, the former dining room, which is now just the storage room. So, Kit.
Hi. Hey.
Yeah, you gotta say.
Sorry.
Yeah, and we've got Harper here, back there, and we're gonna be doing a little walking around during the stream today. I see Soul Machine here. I see Reagan Radio Star, Tylo, William Mitchell, Barn Red Pine, and looks like we're going on Twitch over here. I don't see Casey yet. I don't. Is he going to be able to mod today?
Oh, I should probably check.
Yeah, you might. Hey, Hussein, what's going on? So, and I hope everybody is doing good right now. Kind of crazy times, you know. Thank God I've been a little busy with things, so I just can't look at too much of the insanity. I got enough going on inside my head. But anyway, I guess we'll just go ahead and kind of get started on what we're going to do. I'm thinking if I have any announcements. Well, I will say that I did put up a video last week, which was a 1-hour edit of a 6-hour live stream about recording the drums live upstairs. It's actually doing pretty good. It's got a steady viewership on it. And Kit, maybe you could throw that up one as well.
Yes.
That link up as well.
Except,
awesome.
Oh, there it is. Good.
Yeah. So, yeah, if y'all could throw that up. I will be taking some questions today. It's going to be a little hard because I'm going to be walking around a little bit. And also, I'm going to be mixing on the mixer here. Let's show the mixer again. I will be actually mixing off the analog machine onto this mixer. And it'll be the first time I've actually done anything like that in 25 years or something like that. And of course,
time.
Yeah, and when I was doing it before, I was on a 32-channel Ghost. This is a 24-channel Ghost, so I was like, I'm using some of this for the stream, so I couldn't route in some of the extra effects and stuff. I'll eventually get around to that. And we're also going to be, using this. Oh, and let me also talk about what else we're going to be doing. We're going to be showing, let's show them over here this. So, this got moved or something. We're going to be showing this. This is the Garbage Ideas compressor distortion box that is created by Jason Kingsland and Vic. God, I don't know Vic's last name. Anyway, they were here last week to help get the 16-track working, and they dropped these off to play with. I'll be doing this later on in the stream. And, yeah, patching that thing up, it was a bit of the challenge. But, yeah, go back to the right view there. So, yeah, you can see it over there. I'll be doing that. So it's kind of like trying to figure out how to route it in there, because I don't have all my inserts and stuff hooked up to the board yet. I just got line in and some effects, but I think I got it working. But I'm going to start off with talking about the 16-track. So, Harper, let's go ahead. I'm going to switch over to my lav mic here, which is not great sounding, but it's what I got. And we're going to come over here and talk about my 16-track. So, yeah, you can stand right there to start off with. So this is my Tascam MS 16 1-inch analog reel-to-reel. I bought this in the 80s, and I do actually have a video that kind of goes in. I've got a couple videos about this thing. I had used it on some earlier videos, and then just kind of it sounded really weird. Things were like, it wasn't great. Some of the tracks were not right, and I had Jason and Vic come in and work on it, and they were like having to adjust like some of the like the rollers and stuff like that. I'm going to get a little more into this as we get in, further into the stream. Also, the other thing, and I don't know if you'll be able to see that, a lot of it was what they did with this. Can y'all even see that? Oh, hold on, let me get my flashlight. Hold on. So a lot of it was that this stuff needed to be adjusted. What you're looking at here is each one of these cards corresponds with one of the 16 tracks. And these little potentiometers here control like the record level, the playback level, also the frequency response, because when you're recording the tape, depending on what kind of tape you're doing, you can adjust like low end, high end, and stuff like that. And I had kind of adjusted it myself, but I was kind of scared to turn them too much because it's been 25 years since I've done it. I couldn't remember all the instructions, and I was never really that good at it anyway. But they came in and spent some time working on that and got it working. My remote, which is my remote control for the fast forward and rewind, is not working. They took it with them. They're going to bring it back, so I'll have to keep jumping over to the machine. Now, as far as 16 tracks are concerned, like any kind of reel-to-reel, one of the things you got to do before you start recording is clean the heads, and we're gonna do that in a minute. You'll notice, I don't know if y'all can see or not, there's actually, because I was playing it earlier, there's probably little pieces of tape and like stuff that shed off the analog tape, because tape is actually, basically analog tape is rust glued to a plastic backing. And here, I'll pull out a reel and show y'all. So this is a reel of 1-inch tape, right? And the tape, the way it works is you've got this plastic Mylar, I guess Mylar is plastic, backing, and then this is the side that it records on. What you're seeing here is basically rust. It's basically metal particles that are glued to there, but they kind of float. So when you're recording, there's an electrical charge that changes the alignment of the metal particles into, I guess, waveforms and stuff like that. And that's what plays back. And over time, this stuff actually wears off. Now, the problem I was having is that this kind of tape here, this is Ampex 456. That was the brand I used. And it was considered like, oh, that's rock and roll tape. The problem with this stuff is that over time, it would get what they called sticky or sticky tape. It would gum up because the way that the metal oxide, basically the rust, was glued on here, it was glued on there with organic glue. Jason was saying it was like whale blubber or something like that, but it wasn't like a synthetic thing. So if you stored this in not the best conditions, which I didn't really have, like you would really need like something with really strict humidity and temperature controls, over time, this would get gum up and the tape would literally stick to each other. And so when I pulled this thing out and started working on it last year, and I pulled out these tapes, as I ran them over the guides and all that here, within seconds, it would just gum up and there'd be black stuff on here and it would literally stick. It would be stuck to all this stuff. So I had to do this thing called baking. And what it is, it's a process where you can heat up the tape and it binds the oxide back to the backing again. And you've got like a couple weeks or so where you can transfer it in. I actually did that with this reel because this has a song I recorded in the 90s. I found the mix down of it and transferred it into the computer because I might put it on the album. But then the other day I was digging through more boxes and I found this. This is the actual multi-track master. So I baked this yesterday and then transferred last night. But I'll show you how I baked it. Let's walk into the other room real quick and I'll show you that.
Hey, over on Twitch. Thanks for following Mario V68.
All right, so let's walk into the other room here. Make sure this headphone extension cable reaches. Oh my God, my hair on my lab. Okay, can you make it over here? So some people will actually, when they say baking tapes, you literally could stick a reel of tape in an oven and do it that way. It's not the best way. You set it like, I think like 120 degrees, 130 degrees, and you actually, I think I left the door open, but it could really ruin it. The best way is to use something called a convection oven, but I didn't have one. And then I looked online. I talked to a couple people who know what they're talking about, and they said, oh, you can actually use a food dehydrator. So I bought this, and this is a Nesco Garden Master food dehydrator. And the cool thing about this one is that it actually looks like it's almost made for putting reels on. So it's like if I want to bake a reel of tape, this one needs to be baked. I'm going to be baking this one later tonight because this sucker is sticky. But anyway, you take the reel and look, voila, it kind of fits right there. And you can do multiple reels at the same time because you see it's got all these layers, right? Now, some reels, you can do multiple reels at the same time because you see it's got all these layers, right? Now, some reels, you can do multiple reels at the same time because you see it's got all these layers, right? Now, some reels, you can do multiple reels at the same time because you see it's got all these layers, right? Now, some reels, you know, like a smaller one like this. Now, this would not need baking. This is Maxell. I've had this sucker since the 80s, and it still plays like silk. Not all tape was that way. I literally, yeah, this one I actually played in another video off my 4-track, which is sitting back there. And I put it on for the first time since like 1981, and it literally played totally fine, no problem, just really smooth. But if you did need to bake something this size, you know, the issue with these is that, you see there's not a big hole in the middle of the reel. So what I did is I went through with some wire cutters and I just cut out the middle so that I can lay a smaller reel in there. But sometimes I'll have multiple tapes to bake, so I'll actually stack them up and they'll be them, you know, in kind of just stacked up in there. Now, when you bake it, there's different formulas. Now, for a 1/4-inch tape like this, it's only a couple hours, I think. But for like a 1-inch tape, this size, you want to put it in there. I would probably put it more in the middle, right? This is what I did last night. And you put the top on it. And you set it to 130 degrees, which is, I think, right about there. Turn it on. And every 2 hours, you flip it over. So you flip it over 4 times, you let it go 8 hours, then you let it sit there, and then you put it on, which is what I did last night. But I'm gonna do this one later because it's actually kind of loud. We'll probably hear it in the other room. So let me show you what you got to do when you're getting ready to play a tape on a reel-to-reel. Oh, and Kit, as I'm doing this, you know, let me know if there's any pertinent questions that kind of go along with what we're talking about at that moment. So, and this one, I know there's some oxide on here because I was playing it earlier before the stream to kind of make sure all the signals were working. Now, oh, and actually, you can see right here. Where's my flashlight? Harper, get over here. Look at this. Look at this lifter arm. You see that? See that tape there? I got to clean that off. Now, that's pretty bad because these reels are really, really old. But even in, you know, if you're using really good tape and you had it on there for a couple hours, it wouldn't be quite that bad, but it will build up on there. So what I got to do is clean it. And what I'm going to use is 99% alcohol. Now, if you get online and get into some Reddit groups about this, I'm going to get reamed for this. Somebody's going to tell me this is not the right alcohol to use. Trust me. They're going to freak out about it. But you know what? It's actually pretty damn good. I was a little worried about it, but when Jason and Vic came over, I was like, hey. And they're like, no, that's what we use. I was like, okay, cool. These guys know what the hell they're talking about. And so I don't have to keep dipping the Q-tip into the bottle and spilling it. I usually pour a little in a shot glass. Also, if I want a little buzz, I can, no, I'm only kidding. So then, oh, and I did demagnetize this, by the way. That's another thing. As the tape runs over the heads, it'll actually start to magnetize the heads. I actually have this thing you plug in and you kind of wave it around in front, and then it pulls any kind of magnetization. I think that's how. Well, you know what I mean. And then when you turn it off, you point it in the air because it releases it all up into the air. I already did that a couple days ago. So I'm going to clean these heads. And the first thing is like the capstan roller here. This thing's just spinning. So I'm going to just let it spin here. Now, you don't want to use it on these rubber rollers. It'll dry out the rubber rollers. This is best to use water on those. This one's not bad, I mean, because I cleaned this earlier today, so there's not much there. And I go in here and I get these rollers, or the guides. Now, the guides, got to make sure to get down in the edge. Yeah, you can already see it's like pulling off some stuff there. And this is just, from earlier today. And I got to tell you, well, like I said, I'm playing back these really old tapes that are just coming apart. So yeah, you can see I'm already starting to pull some off. Get the heads. It's always good. What?
It's yucky.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I thought she was smelling it, and I thought, well, you're in another room over there. Yeah, look at that. That is literally, these tapes are coming apart. That's why the minute I got done baking them, before I did anything, I just hooked it right up to Pro Tools and transferred them in. as I'll show this later today when I come over as I'm playing these tapes. You'll literally see pieces like it's pieces of my life and my soul coming off, but I already got it transferred in, so it's all right. So I'm gonna clean. I'll get this head here. Oh yeah, and in case you're wondering why there's different heads, there's 3 heads here. You've got the erase head, the sync head, and the playback head. And the way it works is as tape is going this way, because the tape travels in this direction, it erases, as you're recording, it erases anything that's there before, but it also sets the bias, which is the way that the magnetic particles are aligned on the tape. And by adjusting the bias, it changes the way the magnetical particles are aligned, which actually would change the way it records and thus the sound. So it goes to there. And then and the one on the right is the playback head. But here's the thing, if you're trying to overdub, let's say you've recorded on a few tracks and then you're gonna add a vocal, it's getting recorded here. This is the record sync head, or this is the erase head. This is the. Oh
and I'm throwing up a link to your video.
I'm so damn confused here.
That
I've not hardly
has you
slept last
describe
night.
this in the video too.
I think I was a little more awake. But the bottom line is this is the sync head, so it does playback and records at the same time. Yeah, that's what it is. This is the erase head. Yeah, sorry, erase head, record, sync head, playback head. So if you were trying to record along with something and it's here, but you're recording here, they wouldn't be aligned. So what they did is there's a mode that while you're recording, you can hit a button and it's mainly on this head, so it's recording and playing back. But it's a lower quality sound, but for overdubbing, it's fine. And then when you go to mixing, you switch over to this head, which is the one that we're gonna be using today. It gets really complex, which was part of, I guess, the fun. Here, bring the camera over to the other side, because I'm about to get a bunch of junk off of there. Oh, let me get this side. Okay, yeah, this lifter here is actually, it's a little, I need to see if I can spin it. It's got some rough edges on it, and it's kind of catching on it. You can barely feel it, but it's just enough, like, look at that. I'm gonna pull it off of there. I heard this podcast where this guy literally likes taking old tapes and they're deteriorating and plays them and keeps playing them till they're like completely come off, and it's a cool sound. I don't think we'll hear that today. It is kind of sad to think though, these tapes, like I baked this one last night and today there's gonna be chunks of it falling off. But like I said, I mean, it'll play fine for a couple weeks, but it's literally chunks are falling off. That's why you got to transfer it in really quick. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me just double check this one here. And they're not all the same. Like some tapes I bake and they're fine. They don't shed. But the one we're using today, I was like, ooh, yeah. Hope we get through everything during the stream before it completely falls apart. And then real quickly, I'm gonna get these little rollers back here. These things never really pick up anything because they're spinning. I did notice a little bit of something down in the, kind of in the edge earlier today, but I think it blew out. I'm actually spinning it. But yeah, these things, they never really do much. Okay, that's good enough for now. Now, I'm going to put on the tape. Let's see, I'm going to use this one. This is the first, we're going to kind of listen to 2 different things today because I kind of got 2 different agendas here. So, oh, and just in case anybody's wondering, this is running at 30 inches per second. This machine was originally made to run at 15 inches per second. That's a little bit better low end, but there's going to be more noise. 30 inches per second is a little more, quote unquote, hi-fi. And so it's not going to be quite as analog sounding, but it's going to have a cleaner sound. But, you know, for me, I wasn't really as much of a rock guy as I was doing more like pop and other stuff like that. So I wanted, and plus I don't like noise. I don't like tape noise. But that means that running at 30 inches per second, I'd get about 15 minutes worth of the record time on here. So each one of these reels is literally only 15 minutes. You can make, you know, sometimes get 3 songs on here. And you can see I've got leader on here to separate. I would splice in white paper leader so I could tell where the songs were. it weighs a lot. So if you're working on an album and you were working at different studios and you had several of these reels, it was a lot of weight to carry. Like your music, the thing that your music was on weighed a lot. There's not like these little hard drives nowadays, which, you know, it also made it hard. It made it harder to lose your stuff. Like you got your whole album on a little hard drive and like, where'd that put the hard drive? With these, is like, you knew where these things were. Okay, so then we do this. Oh, and by the way, the other thing people should realize is the tape plays in this direction. It's going to spin in this direction, so I got to rewind it first. That's because I did something called storing it tails out, and the reason you do that is because the sound. You can see how these are all packed together. The sound will literally here. Let me show you. You know, if you think about this being stacked and stacked and stacked, so here's your audio here, and it's on the back of another one there. Over time, it would sometimes literally kind of send a signal, and I don't know how to say it, but it would kind of like copy a little bit of the signal onto the other part of the tape. If you were rewinding, that meant that before the song started, you would hear a teeny bit, just very quiet, of what was about to happen. On the other hand, if you're storing tails out like that, the way I'm doing, and it's stored that way, anything that prints through, I think it was called print through, would come after the original sound, so it was more of an echo. It's very slight, but just in case it happened, you were less likely to hear it if you did tails out, which is why I did it this way. I didn't know that in the early days, which is, I was wondering why sometimes you'd hear like a ghost of a sound, you know, before a song started. I thought it was just maybe, you know, Satan or something like that, you know, trying to send me an evil message. Okay, I hit return to 0. Now, let's walk over here. And Harper, I'm going to take that camera and I'm going to put it up in the bracket over the board because I know exactly how to handle this goofy little holder I've got. Yeah, let's switch to, oh yeah, go to the right shot or whatever. Oh, Kit, while I'm messing with this, are there any questions or anything?
Well, yes. Where did it go? Soul Machine was asking, what would you think are the benefits of using tape today?
Oh, it's cool. Sounds good. I mean, it smells good, I was going to say. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of benefit unless you actually want an analog sound. Now, the guys that came over and worked on this, they have analog machines, and that's kind of their specialty. They work with a lot of cool older bands, and some people are looking for that sound. It's actually, you know, there's a romantic kind of idea about, you know, analog. And to be honest with you, I think like people who think, oh, that'll be really cool, and then they do it, it's like, oh, that was cool, but I'm never doing that again. It's just it's not, you know, it's a different kind of workflow.
You had a video about the workflow.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny how many, it's like, why, the real reason why analog is better, and it's not about the sound. And people kept thinking I was talking about the sound. It's like, no, I'm not talking about the sound. There are some great benefits on the workflow side of it, but it's not sonically. I mean, I liked tape compression, loved the hell out of it. But I was always kind of like, I mean, it's great. You can hit the tape hard. It does cool stuff. But it's not, there's a lot of bad sides to it, too, you know. I just don't like noise, man. But to me, it's kind of like the thing about it that's really cool is, like I said, like having to commit. Oh, let's go to the overhead shot here. Let me see if I got this lined up right. Oh, I don't. What did I do wrong? Oh, man. I had this all, hold on, move it like that.
Also, I'm pretty sure that I said right, but Eric Pug was asking if that rectangular plate in the front is for physically cutting and splicing tape.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even get into splicing tape.
And I said, yes, it is.
Oh, maybe also, well, you know what? I actually am going to pull up another reel because I got that Michelle Malone song. I got the toms on that. I found that. It'll be good to demonstrate the garbage ideas compressor. And maybe I'll just show a little bit about splicing on there. But, oh, yeah, because you would splice. I didn't do a lot of crazy splicing with the 16-track because I just didn't, you know? I mean, I did more on quarter-inch where I'd like be working on a mix and I'd mix the song in sections and then splice them together because you had to practice everything on the board. Oh, my lav. Now, I'm probably going to use the lav mic while I'm working on the board just so this microphone is not in the way. so people can see the board. So what I've got here, let's see, let me move this. Am I still, yeah, I'm still on the lab here. All right, so let's show the board real quick. So I've got 16 channels coming in from they're just coming straight in from the tape machine. And I've got, let me just do, okay. I hope that zoomed in enough. God dang it, I hate this lab.
The price was right.
Yeah, exactly. I've got kick, snare, tom 1, tom 2, overheads left and right, hi-hat, slide guitar, solo guitar, background vocal by Queenie, my lead vocals, shaker, 2 electric guitars, acoustic guitar, and bass. And I kind of put a rough mix up. I have no idea where it's at because we were putting on another reel. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start messing with this a little bit. Oh, before I jump into that, yes, R.J. Hagler, do you know what I'm talking about? The pre-tape, the thing, you can hear it on one of the songs. You hear a little bit of the sound and then the song starts. And I always wondered what that was. I think that's what it was. I think that was print through on the tape. Yeah.
Several folks kind of talking about when people talk about analog sound, what do they mean?
Oh, and Carper, for some reason,
Carper?
What did I say? Carper?
Carper.
Harper? And actually, I'm going to turn this off for a second here. For some reason, on Crystal's shot there, she's not getting the YouTube chat. So when she's talking, let's just show the one with her and I, because I think that's got both of the chat. Let's check that out. Okay, yeah. My chat stuff screwed up. I've been screwing around with my OBS. Yeah. Okay, so what was it? Was I saying something? I totally spaced out.
What is analog sound? When people talk about like, oh yeah, analog sound, what do they mean?
I mean, it's just, boy, you could get really deep into it, but it's kind of like, you got to realize the way analog recorded sound, it captured the sound in one continuous, let me switch over to no, I have that mic out of the way. Let me use this mic. It captured sound continuously, like in one big kind of waveform, right? Like it was not stopped. I mean, like digital, even if you're using 96 kilohertz, which is 96,000 samples a second, the sound is still chopped up. In digital, the sound is spliced up into a bunch of little parts, and then it's all like in line like that. And I never really thought about it till recently, till I put out some of these videos and people brought it up. I'm like, oh my God, it's actually, we're hearing sound. It's so fast, like a movie. A movie's like 24 frames a second. So it's just a bunch of pictures. It's actually not how reality is, but your eyes, for the most part, can't tell. Although if you're watching 60 frame, you start going, oh yeah, there is something there. But I started thinking about that with digital, that it is chopping up the sound, or are we losing something? It's actually kind of kept me awake at night. But, analog, somebody also said that the term analog means it's, I think the definition is something like, I don't know if it comes from Greek or somewhere or something like that, but it means like something, is copying something, it's the representation of something. Now, as far as the sound on tape, it is a different sound because digital captures the sound for the most part exactly like what's there, like as far as like the waveform. It's just like this kind of cold, hard snapshot. Whereas tape, the characteristics of it would soften up the sound. So you have these things called transients, and transient is like on a drum or something like that. There's an initial hit. It's real fast. It's like this, it's like this really loud section right at the beginning of loud sounds. Digital captures that very easily. Analog smooths it out. It doesn't have the capability to capture it as much as digital. So it was a softer sound. It would also do these cool things where if you hit it really hard, like when I would record, I would slam the meters. Like those meters would be just pegging over there. It kind of did its own kind of compression, what they call tape compression. Not like the compression you think of with a plug-in or a hardware unit. But it was kind of its own kind of sound that I really liked. And then different types of tape. I mean, the guys, I was never that. I mean, I had the machine and I worked on it for years, but you got to remember, man, I'm a guitar player, singer-songwriter, play mandolin. Everybody thinks of me as an engineer and a mixer and a producer, which, yeah, but it's not like the guys I know that are engineers, like, are real. Like, they get in there and they will do sessions and they'll change the settings on the tape machine based on the band that's in there. Like, oh, let's use this kind of tape, or let's use this kind of tape. I'm going to change the bias. And I'm like, hey, just set my machine up and it's going to be that way for everybody. That's kind of what I did, you know? So I'm not some sort of expert on analog. I did work on it for years. My whole thing with analog was more about the process. And I do have a whole video about it, but quickly what I would like to say is that with analog, because you had to be more prepared, you couldn't, there was no undo. If you punched in something, like let's say you recorded something like your vocals or guitar, and there's like a section in the middle of the verse and you want to replace it, when they hit record and punched you in, it was erasing what was there. So you'd better have your crap together. You know, there's no like, oh, I didn't like that, undo it. So people were a little bit more prepared. And also because, you know, rewinding the tape took time, switching the reels, cleaning the heads and all that, I feel like people had time to kind of think about what they're doing and reflect and stuff like that. Whereas in digital, everything's like, you know, boom, boom, you do another take, there's no rewinding, you're right there. Nobody has time to breathe. I feel like people maybe just need a little bit more time to breathe and think about things. But, you know, the advantage, I mean, to me, like, to use it today would be more of like an effect. Like, now that I have the machine set up, there's probably going to be some songs where I'll record some drums or something to them, and then I'm just going to record them right back into Pro Tools, more as a way to affect the sound. I do have plugins that do pretty good jobs of emulating it, but just for the hell of it, I'm going to do it just because, hey, it's, you know, there are plugins out there that do it, but nobody has that machine. So it's another way for me to be unique. Hey, if I want an analog sound, and I have made a couple videos about transferring stuff to tape and putting it back in. So, but I'm doing this because people are always asking. And at some point, now that I'm getting the board set up and more of the routing and all that, I'm actually going to be doing a session. I don't know when it's going to be. I was just talking to Andy Falco from the infamous String Dusters yesterday, and I think I'm going to bring him down here. We're going to write some songs in advance, and we're going to get some musicians together, and we're going to record some songs, like complete songs, all on analog, and we're going to mix it on analog just to do it, you know? Why not? So that'll be later on. I don't know, maybe in the summer. I got to check their touring schedule and all that, and then I got to figure out, I can't bring the musicians. I can't afford to bring the musicians he's got in New York down here, but I've got guys down here. But yeah, so... but we're going to be doing more rootsy rock, bluesy rock stuff on that thing. And that'll go good with that kind of sound. All right, so let me switch over to my lav here so I can move this mic. Let's go to the mixer view real quick. So I got to keep running over there to hit the playback on this thing because my remote is in the shop. So I'm going to just start messing around with the mix on here a little bit. And I'll stop. It's not like I'm trying to get a final mix. I just kind of want to hear the song because I am, like I said, I already transferred this into the computer, but I kind of want to hear what I got. And just for the hell of it, I kind of want to EQ something. I haven't EQ'd something on an analog mixer and done it this way in literally decades. I mean, I've done a little bit on some stuff I was messing with, but not like a whole song. So I'm going to do that.
You're circular breathing again. I want to ask a question.
Oh, sorry.
What do you have your interface gain set to if you're going through the board preamps?
Oh, you mean like it's just all on 0? Like everything's at the bot, like, you know, like I'm using a, hold on. Don't show this yet, Harper. Hold on, probably shouldn't have on that particular thing on the screen. Here, let me move this over here. Give me just a sec. Oh. Bump. Let me get this there, and then this, and where is my console app? Oh, hold on. Yeah, you shouldn't really mess with anything. Hold on. Okay, now you can show my DAW. Okay, so yeah, like you don't really want to mess with anything here if you're using your mic pre's and all that. I just got everything, like, you know, you got the line inputs here. Everything's just at 0. Of course, +4 dBu, as you can see here. +4 is like the standard that everybody's using today. You can also set that to like -10. You don't want to do that. So leave it on +4. These are automatically, I think, on +4. Like these, yeah, the line thing, I just leave it at 0. I don't mess with any of this unless in some rare situations I might put like one of the UA plugins on there, you know, and click the record button so you're recording through the plugins. But since I already have a bunch of mic pre's, I don't really do that. But you really shouldn't be messing with anything in there. If you're using outboard gear, just use the outboard gear. All right, let me hit play on here. I'm just going to start working on this dang thing here. I'm just going through the tracks here. Oh yeah, we're a little loud. Ooh. Okay, so that's Jimmy B playing bass right there.
But a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, you know, hold on. I realize I changed something here. Oh, check, check, check. Okay, we're good there. That's the bass. Oh, and I'm using a Rev 7 digital reverb, which I forgot to show, but I've got that run into the board. Here it is without it. And then back with the Rev 7 digital reverb. I think I gotta put the music down. We got overheads. I was using really cheap overheads at the time. God, this would have been in the 90s. I feel like I got to bring down that 4K a little bit. Put a little sizzle on the top is fine. Oh, here we go. I do have a hi-hat track. Normally with hi-hats, I'll filter out the low end and just get a little, get that stuff up there. I'm just gonna barely have it in there. That's the thing about analog though, I can't loop this thing. Maybe that's a bit much reverb on the snare. Then I got toms. I like how you can hear Glenn Bender in the background. Can you hear him like going? Listen to that. Listen.
I wondered what that was.
That's the drummer. That's Glenn Bender, which I don't know where to find him. Listen. He go yeah. Yeah, that's him. Bass sounds really good, though. I'm going to give it a little mid-range. Then my guitars. Woo! I got a shaker in here. Put a little high-pass filter on that. Maybe give it a little bit up there, but doesn't need much. All right. Okay, we're rewinding now. Here's the rewind moment. Time to take a sip. I will say one thing I like about digital, like, working on the tom sounds, like I hadn't even EQ'd them, but you would need, if I would have the remote here, I'd have to keep playing rewind, play rewind, like a little section to work on the EQ. Whereas on digital, I can just loop the tom, boom, 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 boom. That's one thing I miss. Okay, here we go.
Thompson was noting that you're putting EQ and effects on the tracks coming in instead of being dry, and found that interesting.
What do you mean? Like, well, of course. Now, here's the interesting thing, and I'll show you. I don't know when I know I did this in the 90s, but it's like listening when I'm going to solo the vocal, there's reverb on the vocal. I don't know why I did that. But it sounded great. Like the mix I did back then is good enough to put on an album now. And I still may use it, but if I can get a better mix. I also want to add some other vocals and stuff. But yeah, there's actually effects on some of this stuff. But yeah, so I EQ'd when I record this stuff and I put it in. But, you know, I'm always going to tweak out some stuff. So, yeah, I guess I'm kind of pretending that I'm mixing the song, basically. So I'm going to work on the EQs and stuff a little bit. But I did a lot more EQing when I recorded back then. And you would need to do that on analog tape because with analog tape, the more you ran it over the tape over the heads, if you worked on it for months and months and months, it would actually start to erase high end off the tape. So you would kind of like go ahead and put a little extra high end on the tape because you know you're going to lose some of it. And that's the reason why I think when people first got into analog, they started going like, oh, it's brittle, but they're probably over EQing because they're just used to doing it. It's like, oh, you don't need to do that anymore. I record way more dry now than I did back then. There's a lot, and of course I've got better mics and pre's now. But there's a lot of times I'm not really using an EQ on stuff because I got a lot of mics and I've kind of learned which ones are better for what and stuff like that. So let me hit play again because my remote is in the shop. Actually, I need to reset this. Can we? All right. I love this song. I'll put a little reverb on the toms. He doesn't play a lot of toms in the song. Oh, I got a little slide guitar in here. Oh, and I do have a delay on some of this. Oh, I gotta turn that on. Where's my slide at? There's the slide. Ooh.
No need to keep you there. It's your life.
Oh, let me turn on this thing.
It's your life. You can go anywhere. Anytime. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
It's your life.
You haven't got a prayer. You haven't got a prayer.
Oh, I forgot I got an acoustic guitar in here. Although it's not playing there.
You know best. You have so much to teach.
I feel like the snare's a little thin.
You're the only one on this sacred quest. Go follow the moon. Go on and
Oh, yeah, I like that
It's your life. It's your.
Oh yeah, I put a coursing on the acoustic. Ooh, I like that. What the hell to do? Like, there's a Rev 7 reverb. Ooh, God, that sounds great. Then some delay.
You haven't got a prayer.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, you know, I just realized there's probably a better way that I could have bussed the music separate from the vocals. So it's kind of hard to balance the overall balance of the music and the vocals. I'll do that next time. But, you know, this board does not have any automation on it. It's just like, it is what it is. Like, you know, you have to, oh, hold on, I want to adjust something here. You have to, like, you have to memorize everything. Like, if you're like, hold on, I'm just trying to adjust my OBS here. God dang it, man, hold on. I have my keyboard in a weird place here. There. Yeah, there's no automation. So what we would do is we'd actually take, oh, Harper, can you hand me, is there any of that little red tape over there? That little mini reel? Yeah, bring that. No, the little skinny one. Do we have any of that skinny tape over there? Yeah, so you'd keep a bunch of this sort of stuff around. It's just like this little tape. So what you would do is you'd go like, and by the way, these vocals, there's no compression on them, so it's kind of like they're all over the place, and I don't really have the board hooked up to be able to easily insert a compressor yet. I don't have the inserts hooked up yet, which is a way that I could put, like, you know, in Pro Tools, you'd go to your insert thing, and then I just don't have it hooked up. I'd put a compressor on it, so this is with no compression. But let's just say you're mixing, and, you know where you want things to be, so you'd like, oh, you know, here's the, here's where the vocal is in the verse, you know, then you'd make a mark, here it is in the chorus, then be this other mark here, and you would have to like go through the song and practice moving it. Oh, there it is. There was no automation. So that's how we mixed back then. You know, there were mixers with automation back then. They were just very expensive. They'd be like the price of your damn house, you know. But actually, I want to mess around with these guitars a little bit. Oh, and are there any questions while I'm screwing around with this? Oh, hold on. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, definitely some folks rather impressed with your vocals there.
Oh, thanks.
And but let's see here. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to mitigate tape noise?
Well, we would use gates, and actually, if you listen to this, now there's a gate on the snare, and I'm thinking maybe I recorded it that way. I didn't. I'm trying to remember when I actually bought something with some noise gates on them. So and I'll solo up the snare in a second, you can hear it turning off, you know, probably because of extra noise. Like the thing with tape noise when you were mixing, on this, there's large sections where the solo and the slide guitar are not playing. Once I started working in bigger studios that had automation, I would automate the mutes off and on and only have them on. With this thing, I didn't have that. So, you know, basically, that's why I got a 30 inches per second machine. The other thing is I just recorded really loud so that I could turn the inputs, like the returns, back down. That would help some too. But it was just always there. I mean, that was just there. Like you just, you know, making sure the machine's aligned properly, making sure everything's kind of set up right. Yeah, but to me, a big thing was just, I just hit the tape really hard. That was the main thing.
Are you also going to do a mix of this song in the DAW?
Oh, yeah. And I've actually got it in the DAW and the mix. And actually, I want to play you a little.
And that was from Soul Machine, was saying it'd be totally interesting to compare the two versions after you're done.
Yeah, well, there's a couple funny, interesting things about this. And one is, I got it all transferred in. Like as soon as I baked the tape, I went ahead and I literally did the outputs of the 16 track right into the inputs of the DAW. I didn't even go through the board or anything. I just instantly transferred it in because I knew the tape was going to be shutting. And so I did that, and then I was messing around with it, and I thought, oh, I should go back and listen to the version that came off the 2-track machine. And if you listen to them, it's kind of funny because they're slightly at different pitches, but that could be a lot of different things. It's like, it could be like, hold on, I'm bringing this up. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Either my 2-track machine wasn't running at exactly the right speed, or the 16-track. Like here's the version that I mixed. Let me play a little bit of this. This is what I mixed back in the 90s. You hear how it's a higher pitch. It's a little. Is it higher? Okay, now, so that's that. Now here's the 16 track. They're not exactly the same pitch. Man, hold on. God, I wish I had my remote. And then here's the 2 track from back then. Oh, it's a little lower. Yeah. But it's not a bad mix. This is what I mixed on using my. It was probably a Ghost like this. The Ghost or the Ramza maybe. Yeah, man. And what's interesting to me is like how loud the guitars are. Like, you know, back then, this is before I started doing a lot of big records. I was recording bands around town. I was just starting to get, I was right on the cusp of really starting to get a lot more professional work. But being that I'm a guitar player and this is my song, of course, my guitars are loud as hell. So last night, when I pulled this up and I'm starting to mix it, it's like, oh, and I brought up the old mix. It's like, oh, damn, I got to crank the guitars up. So it's kind of like, it's weird. But I got into the habit over the years of mixing other people's stuff and all that, I found myself turning down the guitars. But yeah, let me play you some of the other things that was interesting. Like so much of this was recorded with effects. And one of the reasons I'd record with effects is because I didn't have a lot of effects. I had like 2 compressors and like I had the Rev 7 digital reverb. I had a spring reverb. And if I knew that, oh, I'm probably going to put chorus on the acoustic guitar anyway, I might as well record it in. And I kind of like that. I like recording with effects. Like I like, not necessarily on vocals, although I've done it a few times lately, but having the effects in there kind of bakes it in. To me, like, somebody was asking what the benefit of analog is. And this is something I think you can actually apply to digital too, which is why I record and I bake in the sound, because it's like lasagna. You ever notice how when you make lasagna, you make it and you let it cool off and you eat it and then you put it in the refrigerator and the next day it tastes better? To me, there's something about that with music. And I like it when I'm working on something and I listen to it the next day, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But when you bake in the effects, it's just there. You just deal with it. And then your choices after that, it's not just that the effects are in there and they're done, but extra things that you add later on, your decisions on how those sounds are going to be based off the fact that you're already hearing effects on that. So the fact that you have made a commitment and made a stance now informs the whole direction of the production and the engineering and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of, I don't know, I really like that process. And I've actually done that in the digital world anyway. Like when I'm doing vocals, I compress going in. My vocals sound, for the most part, pretty much done. I might hit a little EQ and I'll definitely do some extra compression on it depending on the song, but I do a lot of stuff going in because it's like, screw it, I know what I want, you know. It might be different if I was like a professional engineer and I had all these different clients coming in and they just want to make sure they're getting a clean sound. I get that. That's why some engineers kind of play it safe, and it's not any strike against them. They're doing their job. But for me, since I'm producing and engineering, I rarely in my life ever engineered for people just as a straight up engineer. And often when I did that, they kind of wanted me to bring in my own ideas. But for the most part, I was either producing myself or producing other people. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Let me play a little bit more of the machine here. Yeah, so check it out. Like the vocals.
As I grew up,
I recorded that with reverb in mono. I'm like, oh wow. Oh wait, hold on.
Big brother
Yeah, because
knew the
there's with the Rev 7 now.
He knew the
But that's how I recorded it right there.
I could never have.
And I think with Queenie, who was singing background, she comes in later. I think she's got delay on her, and definitely like the solo slide guitars, like like this. Oh, I just went past it, damn it. But you'll hear the effects in there. Of course, my electric guitars, you know. Actually, I don't. Yeah, listen to the slide. Yeah, I got delay and stuff on it. It's all baked in. And then on the snare drum, oh yeah, I was telling you about the snare drum. Let me turn the reverb off. Oh no, wait. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Sounds like I recorded it with a gate on it. I think maybe Glenn was hitting the hi-hats really loud. I don't have any, no gate on the kick, toms. Oh, I can turn up the toms a little bit. I wish I could find that dude. Such a good drummer, man. He's one of my favorite drummers that I worked with back then. Okay, so let me go back to the mix. Oh, there.
You're so smart and you know best.
Woo!
You have so much to teach. And you're the only one on this sacred way. Go follow the moon. Go on and pray. It's your life. It's your life.
It's your life.
This,
Anytime.
that's how I recorded it, with all that delay on it. That's just on tape.
It's your life.
And then, of course, I've been adding a little bit more here, just because why not?
You haven't gotta pray. It's your life, it's your life.
It's your life.
You can't go anywhere.
Anytime.
And I'm writing the effects as we go. Like I'm turning up delays and reverbs as it goes.
You haven't gotta pray, so pray, 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 pray. It's your life. It's your
Oh, and then I don't know what that is. So yeah, I mean, but I'll be mixing it in the DAW. I'm not going to be mixing that on the board. And like I said, I am going to do a whole analog session just for the hell of it. The part of the problem is like I would, but I've got to get my inserts hooked up, and I got to figure out another routing for some of the effects and stuff like that. But I'm going to switch now to another.
I'm pretty sure this video, I didn't know what I was getting into. I think that one shows when you first pulled this song up and got to listen to it for the first time.
It might be, because I've got like, there's that video, and then we did that live stream. Let me pull this mic over here. We did that live stream where I was playing stuff off the 4-track for the first time ever, and I was just like, what? Like stuff I'd done in high school. It might have been on there. I can't remember, but I don't know. There's a couple of them. And then I got a video where I used the reel-to-reel back here, the 2-track, as a tape echo. So, yeah. But I don't know. There's just something about the thing about working on analog, and I don't know if y'all noticed, like while I was mixing, You know, like just now, like let's go to the mixer quick. Like I'm playing it like I'm actually like moving the nozzle. I'm also like, oh, when I go up here, I'm going to turn up the delay and stuff like that. Mixing became more of a performance. That was the other thing. It was a pain in the fucking ass. But there was something to it that sometimes you would get a mix and be like, God, it wasn't perfect. I accidentally did something. Oh, that was kind of cool. It's never the same thing twice. Like nowadays, you know, I like automating it all and getting it in there and getting exactly the way I want it. But God, I gotta tell you, it's like there's something about just kind of like doing this and kind of like the experience of that moment. I don't know. I do miss having a lot of faders in front of me. People have asked me about getting a controller, and I haven't liked any of the ones I could afford. I've looked at the like the Raven thing, but there is something about having the actual faders that I have a little bit more control over. If I could get a good controller and I could control the automation, I would do some runs and then write in the automation into Pro Tools I would much prefer that as opposed to like sitting there with the mouse and going, oh, I'm going to go up. Okay, from here to here, I'm going to go up 1.8 dB. I'd much rather do this, but I just can't find any ones that I really like. So.
The Underdog had asked, could you use post-processing to fix mediocre recordings, or would it just be better to re-record the audio? I'm assuming analog.
I mean, I think that's I think that's true for digital too. Like, I don't know. I mean, and I've actually talked about this on other videos where I'm working with somebody or I'm mixing something and there was something really bad in the sound. And I'm going to bring this up again, is that Yin Yang Twin song I mixed. I think I talked about this last week by myself. We were mixing the song and it was like the vocals were just god awful sounding, but we did something. We made them work. And then Collie Park got back home where he had recorded the vocals, not me, and he realized he'd stuck them in a closet, which he does all the time, but he actually accidentally had them on the back of the mic. So we were actually recording the sound of their vocals bouncing off the wall of the closet. And I was like, but you know what? The performance was great. So yes, there are things you can do to fix a sound later, and I'll try, but if it gets to be too much of a pain in the ass, shit, I'll just re-record it unless there's something magical about the performance. I don't really care if the sound's a little screwed up if I've got a great performance. You know, to me, that's the ultimate thing. I've got to have a good performance. So I don't mind a little something being screwed up, you know, if it feels good.
Here was a quick, interesting question from
Okay.
Beardy Face. If you loop a section on the tape for EQ or whatever, does that section degrade more than the rest of the tape?
I mean, I couldn't loop this machine. I think like on like the bigger machines like Studers and, you know, like their remotes allowed looping. Maybe this thing looped. God, it's been so long. Like I said, and my remote's not here. It might have allowed me to loop because I could put in like 10 memory locations, which what I would do is I would write them on my track sheet, and then if I was going to work on a song, I'd go and program in like verse, chorus, and all that. But yeah, I mean, I suppose so. I suppose it could. Yeah, I mean, if technically speaking, if you're looping a section on the tape a lot, you would end up probably degrading that tape more. But I think you would have to do a whole lot of it. You know, I mean, you'd have to do like hours of it. So when I say it degrades the tape, yeah, but it's good. It's over weeks and months worth of work, not like an hour of looping or something. Although I don't know, maybe, who knows? Okay, so I'm gonna actually switch to another reel, but let's bring this camera over here because I do want to show something here. Because I was talking about how the tape is like degrading, right? Even though it's baked. Let me
Hey,
pull this.
give a shout out to Chronic Dream.
Oh, Chronic Dream. Oh, thank you so much, Chronic Dream. Appreciate it. Every little bit helps. God knows. What was I saying earlier, Crystal? I need more things to hook up cameras and God dang it. So these little things. She's like, well, what? He's like, I need. It all adds up. Okay. Oh yeah. Here, you take the camera. Okay. So I'm going to now just. Normally, I would do this like this. If I'm done with a song, there's a mode where I can kind of roll it at a lower speed and it packs the tape cleaner. But since we're in a little bit more of the rush, I'm just going to do it at high speed because I'm going to be coming back to this anyway. Oh, but actually, first, let's do this. Here, where's my flashlight? Oh, yeah. Get in close here so they can see Can you see? This is literally pieces of tape. Did I clean my fingernails? God, I hope so. Okay, look at that. That is pieces of tape right there. And look over here. Show that. Can y'all see that there? That is like pieces of tape coming off as it goes. There go my dreams. There goes my life. Seriously. And you can look around the heads here, because if I start fast forwarding, it's going to like create some wind. So look in there. So there's a piece of tape. And then look around the head block here. You can see shards of tape just laying there. And it's mainly because this thing's like really, really old. And it's just going to continue falling apart. I mean, like I said, I transferred it yesterday as soon as I put it in. So, you know. But like I said, I did hear this guy that would take old tapes like that and, you know, intentionally play back the old ones. And you would hear sections pop in and out. And I was like, actually, that's a really cool effect. So eventually, I'll probably pull some of these out the more I use them and record them in that way, just for the hell of it. Just, it might sound cool, you know? So yeah, so I'm going to switch to another reel here. And I'll clean the heads in between. Because I want to demonstrate these compressors here. I was going to use it on this song, but I didn't feel like this song was the best one for it. Oh, look at this. Q-tips all over the floor. That's the other thing. You get into analog and you find Q-tips laying everywhere. Because I'm cleaning, I just toss them on the floor. I should probably have a garbage bucket here. But I'm usually in a rush.
Not to mention, suddenly, again, there's no Q-tips.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's like, where are all the Q-tips? So I've been going and buying. And you want to use Q-tips with the cardboard stem, not the plastic stem, because the plastic stem could poke through the cotton and damage something. Okay,
Not to mention it's bad for the environment.
Yes. So I'm going to put this in here. And let me clean the heads a little bit. Are there any questions or anything?
I think I mostly covered. One thing that might be an interesting topic for maybe one of your Patreon live streams that kind of go into more detail. Raygun Radio Star was saying, curious how you go about replicating what tape did, like clipping and saturation, in, you know, when you're working in digital. So that might be something to cover in more depth.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can talk about it a little bit, like the, you know, I use these distressor compressors. And they have a mode on there called Distortion 3, which is basically emulating tape distortion. And it works really good. It's also got a mode, I think Distortion 2 is like tube distortion. And there's also, I mean, there are tape emulating plugins out there. But man, and I've said this probably a million times on my live streams, but I got to tell you, in Pro Tools, one of the things I like the best to kind of give it that saturated sound is just that low, like the classic Pro Tools lo-fi plugin, not the new one, like the old one. And I don't ever use it as a lo-fi plugin, but it's got a little knob on the bottom left and it says distortion. And if you put that on a track and just barely turn it up, like 0.03, because it's like, 0.0, I don't even get it up to 1. That sucker, man, that does something. Also, Pro Tools has a mode now called Heat. And what it is, it's something that you turn on globally. I think you turn it on, and then you can tell tracks not to be on. And it was developed by, I think Dave Hill from Crane Song developed it, which is the guy who made the studio controller that I've got on the board there. And that actually works really good. It's a very nice kind of analog sound. And I personally don't use it on my stuff a lot because I just have a different way of working. But for some of my clients that I'm mixing and I know what they want, it works really good. And you just kind of turn it on and I just kind of usually leave it in the middle, although one time I turned it to the right a little bit and it definitely gives it a bit of an analog sound. Some of the tape emulating plugins I think are terrible, though, to be honest with you. I've tried out a few of them and But the other thing is, when people think about tape and they think about this really extreme sound, they're often thinking about really old tape machines, like from back in the day, and also when they're running at lower tape speeds. You got to realize, too, that as people started making more professional records, like a Studer tape machine and all that, yeah, it had the characteristics of tape. But it wasn't like it was like doing something, the whole point was to not sound like tape. Like when you got better tape machines, like that's why I got this thing here working at 30 IPS. I didn't want to hear the hiss, but the really nice tape machines, I mean, yeah, it colors the sound, but not as much as some people think. It's not like it's this super lo-fi thing. The point was they were trying to make it sound as transparent as possible. That was what we were after. And then, here we are years later and people are like literally, plugins have noise on them. I'm like, are you freaking kidding? Those CLA plugins actually put 60 cycle hums back in there. You know how much we were fighting that stuff? I'm like, oh, I'll put noise back in here. I'm like, the hell, what are you doing? Not what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so this is something that I baked a while back, and it's actually held up really good. And this is, I think, from a Michelle Malone song that I did with her. We actually recorded it in Pro Tools, but this was at a point where we were still, I was so weird about getting into digital completely. We were still doing the drums and stuff in digital, and then, or on analog, and then like we'd put down like drums, bass, and like a lead guitar or a guide guitar, and then transfer it to Pro Tools. But after a while, it just got to be like, I just needed to work quicker. And once again, it was like, yeah, it made a difference, but not as much as you would really think, A lot of it has to do with that I was running at 30 IPS. I was trying to sound more hi-fi. If I was at 15 IPS, it would be a different story. But I want to use this track here because he's just got, it's not even the whole song because this was just for the drums and a guide track and something else. But I want to be able to demonstrate this compressor. I don't have the best way of, I'm not real crazy about the way I routed it today, but it's the best I could do in the situation until I do a little more wiring on the board. But I think this would be a good way to show off this compressor. And I'm gonna make more videos using this compressor. I've got some other plans. But this is just a quick way to show it. I've only had these here a couple days, and I kind of want to show them off some.
How are the transport controls on the Tascam?
They're great. It's much better when you have a remote.
Where is your remote?
They took it to Athens to fix it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there was something wrong with the remote. Like the remote normally sits here, right? So it's got all of these controls there, and I sit it next to me. If I put the tape machine next to me, this sucker's loud. Like, here, get the camera close. Like, oh, actually, the camera didn't hear. Like, can you hear from my mic? Like, listen. It's really loud, actually, and it's not bad when it's sitting over here. But if it was sitting next to me, it'd be like, "Wah!" So I put it over here. But the remote, there was something wrong with it that if I had it plugged in. So here, bring the camera over here. So these guides here, the way they work is like, if they're relaxed like this, it kind of disengages some stuff. Like it kind of turns off some things. But the minute you bring these out like this, it's kind of engaging some other mechanisms inside. Every time I would do that, it would instantly go into fast forward. I couldn't control it. And Vic thinks it's like a logic circuit, like it's like this little, he explained it to me. It had something to do with some voltage and some other shit. I don't know. He knows about all that stuff. But for him to fix it, he would have to take the whole remote, which takes up this whole space right in here. It's like a big box with it's got like all these controls on it. And actually, I think it's got other stuff. It's got like memory locations for the counter and stuff like that. For him to work on it here, and they'd been here for hours, I said, hey, just take it with you. So he's going to work on it and bring it back. So hopefully that'll be done soon. Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Where are we? We're like... Oh, hold on. Let me turn off the SMPTE. Oh, hold on. I got this... Oh, let's show this, too. Bring this over here, Harper. Bring the camera. So here's another thing. So back in the day, when you were working... Here, come over this side. So we always had mixer tape. You would put the mixer tape so you could write down, and of course I have track sheets somewhere. I can't remember where this one is. So, I'm writing down what's on each track. And if you were working on an album, you wouldn't want to rewrite this stuff every damn day. So what you would do is when you're done with this song and, you would like write, the name of the song, right? This one's called Call the V. I don't know exactly why we called it that. So then, we'll work on this in a few days. So what you do is you take off your tape. So if you went to an older studio, you would literally see, and normally it was white tape. I can't get that white tape anymore. So it'd be like over on the side of the studio. If you'd walk into older studios, you would see, and usually they're way longer because they're in way bigger boards. So they'd have their mixer tape and they'd like, put it up here. And I set this up earlier for working on this song. I still don't know if I have all the tracks right, but I did this earlier and I was like, oh, this is like the old days. So it was like click, bass, tom 1, tom 2. I think this is, yeah, that's right. So then this is for the song I'm about to work on. So then you just replace your tape. High tech. Okay, so let me put this back now, and I want to explain a couple other things. And while I'm doing this, Kit, are there any other things?
Yes. Where did you get that cool blue shirt?
Oh, man. I'm glad somebody noticed the blue shirt. I'm actually wearing the shirt kind of as a special reason today because I'm working on the analog machine. This is my silk shirt, my fancy silk shirt that I probably just got at a Goodwill. God, I have no idea where I got this thing. And the funny thing is,
It either came from a thrift store or from your sister.
yeah, and I've been trying to find more. Like I've gone into Goodwill a few times
You
lately.
probably got it from a thrift store.
Yeah, and I just can't find it. Of course, we're out here in Cumming. Like I'm not going to find any silk shirts in Cumming.
It's actually not silk. It's rayon, but it feels like silk.
Whatever, it makes me feel like a star. I love this shirt, man. I only wear it on special streams, And then earlier today, I was like, I need to, I'm going to wear the blue shirt today. Today's the day for the blue shirt. Okay. Let's go over to this camera. Make sure I got this lined up.
So I guess that tape that you used to write on, that's analog tape.
This here, the red tape,
Just
it's definitely analog tape. It's
Yeah.
analog painter's tape.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, the mix, I mean, you can buy mixer tape, but it's god dang expensive, man. It's like, geez, because there ain't, you used to have reels of this stuff. Like, boy, always had mixer tape. Okay, so, and let's turn, let me get this mic out of the way here. I'm not going to use this. This place gets more crowded every damn day. Actually, let me just do this. Let's go like that and put that over there. Let me turn on this light. All right. Oh, Kit, man, can you go online and look for Garbage Ideas website? I wanted to put it up like an idiot. We were so slammed getting ready for the stream today. If we could like get that up, and
Sure.
you'll know this is the only product they've got so far. And they actually got a couple Instagram videos that have kind of blown up. He's already sold like 120 of these things or whatever, and he's only been doing it a couple months. So let's show this shot over here. So what these are made by my friend Jason Kingsland and Vic, whose name I forget now. He may not want people to know anyway. He's a very private person. They started making these a few months ago and then been promoting them lately, and they fit into 500 series racks. Normally I've got some APIs in here. I pull them out and put these in. So when you think of a compressor, normally people are thinking about, a nice compressor to, control the vocals or whatever. But I like using compression in very extreme ways as well. Just like I want to slam them sometimes. This is one of those kind of units. And as Jason said, it's one of those effects units where it's not subtle. It's meant to be very, very extreme. And it's got a compressor circuit on it, and it'll also distort. It's also got this drive circuit, and you can link them together. I think when you link them, it's just the compressor. And I'm going to try to keep my hands out of the way as I'm controlling it. And you should go check out some of their videos. They've got some videos where they've got a single SM57 sitting over the kick drum, pointing at a kick drum, a drum kit, and that's all there is. And they run through one of these and turn it up, and you're like, oh my God. I don't really have the right thing for that right now. I also don't have the best way to bus it right now because I'm still setting some things up. But like I said, I'm going to be doing other videos that get into this a little bit more because I'm going to have Darren Stanley out here to record on one of my songs soon, and we're going to be using those a lot more. These be good for room sounds, and the stuff I've got here aren't. I think there's room sounds on this next thing I'm working on. So I'm going to swing back to that. Let's go back to the mixer. I do want to explain one thing real quick before we get going. Right when I hit that tape, you probably heard a sound, and it was this sound right here. Lovely, isn't it? That is SMPTE. That is SMPTE time code. and that's recorded on one track. And what that is, let me stop the tape machine. What that is, I forget what it stands for. It's like Society of Motion Picture, blah, 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 something or other. That goes way, way, way back. It's an ancient technology, ancient for us. That was basically every split second is a unique time. And if I printed that on the tape, that was on the tape because I was syncing it up to Pro Tools, I could tell Pro Tools to listen to that and it would like chase the tape machine. Because you wanted the tape machine to chase, or you wanted the computer to chase the tape machine because the tape machine would just a little bit. So what we would do is we would transfer things back and forth. So that way I could slay Pro Tools with this. So that's why that's on there. And it's kind of funny because it was just something like when I pull these tapes back up, I was like, oh yes, Synthy. It was something that we were doing all the time. I'm going to turn that down because
I just threw up another link to what happened to my analog tapes video because you talk about Synthy there as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna work on this. There's not much on this song because, like I said, what we had done is we recorded some drums. There's an acoustic guitar, there's a scratch vocal, a bass guitar, and a click track, and then we transferred it into Pro Tools and continued the song. But I like this because I think this might be something good to try out these compressors with. So give me just a sec. I just got to make sure I've got all the tracks here, and I got to remember how I.
Well, while you're doing that, hey, y'all, don't forget, over there on YouTube, smash the like button and feel free to share. Make sure you're keeping up with the videos on the channel. Make sure you've subscribed to the channel. All these things really do help us a lot. And over there on Twitch, if you like what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe or at least follow so that you always know when Billy's going live. Patreon. And
sorry, I cut you off for a second there. Keep going. I soloed something.
Oh, okay. I was just telling everybody that you do have a Patreon, and something really cool is coming up. Billy's going to start doing exclusive live streams over there on Patreon that are really more like classes where he'll pick a topic for mixing or recording or whatever it happens to be and go into a lot more detail. And also, you'll have an easier time getting your questions answered as well.
Yeah, I meant to mention that. And sorry, except the problem with communication is because Crystal can't see me right now because she's in the other room. So I made a post on Discord, my Discord channel, and on YouTube that I'm going to start doing private Discord or Patreon live streams that, where I can go a little more depth in questions with people because usually I can only take a couple questions from different people. And I said, and for right now, because we're still working out how to do it, it's just for anybody who pays $10 or more a month can watch this, right? I asked everybody to tell me what day or time would be best. Now, you'll still be able to go back and look at them later, but you want to be there while it's going on so you can ask questions. And nobody's actually said anything. I actually had a bunch of people from YouTube go ahead and sign up on the Patreon, and I was going to make an announcement today, but it was like nobody's actually said anything. At some point, I guess I'll just pick a time, but I do want to know what... oh, thanks, Chronic Dream. Appreciate it. Oh, yes, exactly, Chronic Dream. If Crystal cut my hair, I would lose my ability to mix music, totally. Mm-hmm. That's God, he found me out. Found me out. If you actually listen to my records and you can compare them to the length of my hair, you can hear a difference, for sure.
That's true.
But it'd be nice to know if people have a particular time that they would like me to do the live streams. And the first live stream will be more in-depth stuff on how I'm mixing drums in Pro Tools, and it will be on the drums. So I did that 6-hour-long live stream that I edited down to like an hour and 10 minutes. It's up on the YouTube channel. And I did some interesting things in the mix. So during the Patreon live stream, I'm going to be going into that. So if you're interested, go sign up. It's like $10 a month for right now, and I'll do that, and I'll be doing one the next month. But if anybody's got some times that are good, please let me know. I'm happy to work around it. It's not like I'm doing anything else over here besides sleeping, and eating cereal. This is so I can do it nighttime or daytime or whatever. So it'd be great if people let me know. But if y'all don't let me know, I'm just going to pick a time next couple days. So anyway, back to what I was doing here. Okay, so we're just so it's got some. I think these are room mics here. Now this would have been recorded over at the Zone in Norcross, where I worked for many, many years. I think these are room mics. What's this? Hold on. Oh, why do I have delay? Oh, I got still effects from the other song. What's this? Do I have 4 tom tracks? I don't understand what I'm listening to here, because he never plays anything else. It's just these toms. So I don't know. See, that sounds like something else. I don't know where the track sheet is for this thing. Like, that sounds like close mics to me. Of course, I should probably, I'm going to reverse the, yeah, I'll keep that. I'm doing drummer's or audience perspective now. And I think these are room mics. Wait. Okay, so this is basically, I'm going to turn off the other instruments because I want to focus on the compressor right now. Link these. Okay, so let's go over to the compressor view here, and like I said, the way I'm routing this is not the best way that I would like to do it, but it's the way I could do it right now.
I think this song is on her Hello Out There
Oh
album.
yeah. Oh yeah, I love that album. I know she doesn't necessarily like it because she's more known as a blues player, but I love
It's
that album.
beautiful.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's a good album. Yeah, I did this with Rick Beato back in the day. Like, Rick and I did this way, like, what was that, 2000 or?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that's what these drums sound like, you know, and you could compress them and all that, but if I run them through this distortion unit, hold on, let me make sure I'm doing this the right way. So I'm going to turn them off like this. Hold on.
It was released in 2001.
Okay. Okay, so now, okay, so the way I'm doing this is if I do the toms and I bring in, why am I not getting it over on the other side? There's that. Oh, I hope I'm doing this right. Oh, here we go. And if I go like this, so this thing does this kind of crazy compression. Let me crank up the left and right. There's 3 and 4. So here it is dry. That's kind of like what we're hearing there, more or less. But this compressor does this kind of crazy compression. Also does this distortion thing on here. Once again, I don't know if this is the best thing to try it on. But I like the compressors on it a lot. Yeah, I should really be doing it with a drum beat or something like that. But to me, it's like, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's like, oh, where's my click on them? Of course, I'm overdoing it. Let me back off a little bit. crazy about the way I'm actually having to do this with the routing. But, because normally I'm trying to do, like on all drums, I'm normally doing some sort of like kind of wacky compression and blending it in. And this thing kind of gets there a lot quicker. Like on the room mics. Like actually, if you're listening to drums that I record, and I'll have like several plugins kind of built up that will almost sound exactly like this, and I'm blending it into the mix. This just kind of does it automatically. Actually, I should probably have the stereo link on. I don't know. It's funny. It's like he told me to use the stereo link, but for some reason I kind of like it more without it. Now it is noisy, but like I said, the whole point of these things, it's like it's a piece of gear that's meant to be really, really over the top, noticeable and obvious. It's not a subtle thing. It's not like some sort of like, oh, this is a smooth, subtle effect. No, this is to like, you know, blow you away, which is kind of the stuff I like to do. But it's really good on drum. Of course, yeah, I like it without the link on it sometimes. Definitely noisy. Of course, my gain staging's a little screwed up here. Hold on, let me turn that. Actually, it can be used on vocals too. I was messing around. Now, there's something about the attack of the compressor that I like. It sounds like it does this kind of almost DBX type thing on the and so if I go with her vocal, I haven't really tried it. I don't know if I can get it enough. The gain, I need a lot of gain on this sucker. Here we go. So that's hitting the compressor really hard. And then without it, of course, you know, it's kind of, the A beam's not great.
Out there somewhere in the galaxy, wanting all of the same things.
There's something about the attack on it. Of course, I am hitting it really hard, but I just love the way it grabs the sound, you know. Of course, it is noisy. If I was using it on a song like this, I'd have to like ride the volume and stuff like that. This is more of like hard hitting. I just love the way it grabs it. This drum's back in. I think these are scratch vocals. So I could run the guitar into it. What does acoustic sound like going into it? Let's see if I can get. Oh, acoustic. Oh, there we go. See, I just like the way it just grabs the sound. Just hitting it a lot lighter. I'll show the compressor. So it sounds like with distortion. I mean, that's a bit much. Yeah, this would be a lot easier to use if I was using inserts. But I'm having to run through like my buses and stuff here. Oh, let me play. Oh, did you find the website, Kit? Did you find the website address?
I did. I put it up there.
Oh, cool. Like I said, I'm gonna be showing these. I'm gonna be showing these a bit more, like kind of a more comprehensive usage of these on the live stream I do with Darren Stanley when we're doing drums. I just wanted to mess around with this some today. Hold on. Whoa! Oh, that's distortion. Let's go back to compression.
Any day now. Any day now. Any day now. Any day now. Look up at the same moon that's shining down on you. I feel the longing in an
Show the board.
empty space no one can fill but you. If you're out there somewhere in the galaxy, wanting all of the same things, maybe we could get together for a dream.
Sounds like a DI acoustic. This is just a scratch part. I like these drums though.
Any day
So I'm running the drums, kind of blending the dry signal with the distorted signal. That's probably Rick playing bass. I think that's a scratch bass part. So if I take out the garbage compressor, there it is with no garbage compressor in it. If I bring it in, kind of brings everything forward a little bit. I've got a little bit of everything is at the bass on it, just kind of blending it in. I like the way it sounds, makes the drums sound. That's just badass. Hold on, I want to fuck with that a little bit more. Like I said, not the craziest, best routing on this thing, but I actually am really liking this. I don't know how to, the best way. Oh, I could do this to just bypass. Okay, this is a way to bypass that effect. Let's see, why is Mom getting all this noise in the left side? Oh, I know why. I had bad gain structure there. Okay. Let me go later in the song where he's hitting harder. So I'm running through the Rev 7. I'm going to make the reverb longer. Yeah, sorry I don't have a camera on the Rev 7. So that's with the garbage in there. Actually, I can hit them a little harder. Like that. Okay, so it's over here. And it's a little bit. Oh, I can do this. Yeah, adding distortion to drums, like here it is, without the, here, show the garbage compressor. So here it is without it. Now with it. course, I'm not using the stereo. Oh, here we go. There we go. So there it is with it. Without it. Just brings it forward. So it's probably like maybe a 50% or 40% mix or something like that. Yeah, I'm using the same reverb right now for everybody, which is actually, in the old days, I would do that. I still actually often just use the same reverb. I rarely, back in the 80s, everything would have different reverbs. I tend to don't do that so much because I want people to sound more like they're in the same room. But yeah, so hold on, let me go back, and now I'm going to blend in the other music. Like I said, these are just scratch. I think everything else is scratch. I think the only thing we kept were the drums, and we transferred into Pro Tools. But that's Darren Dodd playing drums. Love his playing. And I'm running her voice through the compressor too. So I'm blending a little bit of the acoustic and her vocal through that thing, just to bring everything through. I'm gonna bring all the drums down a little bit. Let's go to the mixer view. Yeah, since I don't have a group set up for these, I just gotta go. There we go. Hope we got them all together. I think we faded out. Man, I might need to sample these drums or something like. Here it is without the Rev 7. Yeah, so you're hearing a lot of the Rev 7 in there. Well, anyway, yeah, I just thought that was fun, something fun to look at. And like I said, we're going to be doing more. Whoops.
We lost you.
Yeah, I had switching mics here. I'll be doing more with those compressors over the next couple weeks. I literally I think I tried them out for 5 minutes the other day, and then right when I put them in. So I'll be coming back to that a lot. Well, does anybody have any questions? I know, kind of just ripping through a bunch of stuff here with the analog machine and the mixer and all that.
Let's see. Oh, Brewer asked, have you ever tried the FMR really nice compressor?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's two of them right here. You can't see them. There's literally two. Here, go to the mixer view real quick. You can't see them. They're right here. So actually, my Kit's mic is on an FMR,
Hello.
and then my lav here is on an FMR. And this mic here is actually on a DBX. What is that thing right there? That's a DBX 160X. Now, I had been using a distressor, but I'm trying to move everything over for the live stream to where I don't have to move things. I want to keep my distressors for sessions. And since I'm going to be doing more sessions live, I thought, look, I'll just use the DBX for the vocals. But I love the FMR compressors. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and show it because a lot of people, it's a mess over here. Let me switch to this. I'll switch over to here. Even though my hair is rubbing this mic, a lot of people may not know what they are. Let me get some cables out of the way because I've been just trying to reroute stuff last couple days. What he's talking about is this. Let me pull this camera out of here. Oh, actually, I can just do it with this one. Hold on. I'll leave that one there. Oops. Uh-oh. Hold on. turn something off. Are we back? Do we have the mixer view back? Okay. Yeah, I can just turn this camera. Duh. Let me just turn. Let's go to the... oh, you're there. It's just up to me. Hold on. So here...
Oops.
Okay. Got this microphone stand in the way here. Hold on. What he's talking about is these right here. Let me zoom in some. Let's see. Let's go.
Y'all don't forget to hit that like button and follow us over on Twitch.
So these are the FMRs, and these things are really cool. They're not what you would say like, oh, super, high-end pro things, and they're not even balanced. They're like it's unbalanced signals. Hold on, I'm trying to get a good focus on it here. Oh, here we go. What can I focus? Oh, that's zoomed in too much. Hold on. Okay, so they're there. So I have, as you can see, my Voc. Check. Kit, say something.
I'm right here.
Something loud.
Yeah,
Yeah, there it is. So you can see I'm using these just for these talkback mics during the stream. And they've got you got the threshold, you got your ratio, attack, release, and all that. It's got this mode on here called, what is it, like, super nice. And I've never actually used it because it sounds too smooth to me, but that's it. That's the super nice mode. I guess it's supposed to be like a DBX over easy. But the thing about these is they'll do some really extreme compression, like crazy fast attack and fast release. So on drums, like if you want something cheap for drums that will do extreme compression, like what we were just kind of messing with these, messing a second ago with the garbage compressors, these will do that. And I think these things are like maybe like a couple $100 each. And they're both stereo, by the way. I'm running them in mono right now. So I'm just going in the left side and out the right side just for a vocal, but they're actually stereo compressors. You can put them on, I wouldn't necessarily use them on a master bus unless you didn't have anything else, and they're not really, to me, not made for that sort of thing. But for just extreme sounds and all that, these suckers are great. So yeah, I got them there, and I've got to get them in the patch bay a little more easy to use because I do want to actually start using them on drums. So yeah, to answer the question, yes, got some FMRs.
And I lost my question page. Hold on.
Oh, hey, Portugal, what's going on? Or Oregon? No, Lure, I can't read the screen. I got to get new glasses.
Let's see. Oh, what's your favorite guitar pedal?
I don't know. The one that doesn't work anymore? I had an old Roland chorus pedal from like the 80s that doesn't work anymore. I'm going to see if I can get Vic to fix it. The guy's working on my tape machine and stuff. Oh, and I wanted to answer the question. Somebody said about the reverb. That is a Rev 7 reverb. Oh, did we ever show that? I don't think so. Yeah, I got it down the rack. I'll probably show it on another stream, but I've got a rack over here. So that's a Rev 7, Yamaha Rev 7 digital reverb that I got in the 80s. That's what I'm using. It's really old, and the left side is louder than the right side, so it's kind of messed up, but it sounds really cool. Oh, and Kit, I do put up that video. I've got a video called I compared my reverbs to plugins. So I got a whole video where I'm comparing reverb plugins to these outboard reverbs, like the Rev 7 and like some of the stuff I've got back here. Like I've got these old like Alesis, reverbs and all that, and most of them are pretty cheap. But the funny thing is like even these cheaper outboard reverbs sound better than a lot of the plugins. So anyway, you can find out more about it there. Let's see. Any other things I need to address? Oh, somebody's saying, I think you can put a DI acoustic through their own type of IR now. Interesting. Yeah, to make it sound more acoustic. That's interesting. Yeah.
Here we go. Saxon 7 says they just figured out that Wham made a Japanese advertisement for Maxell back in the 80s and says you can look for it.
Oh, really? I mean, Maxell was really active back then with their commercials and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of funny to think about back then. You would actually, on a regular basis, see advertisements for like analog tape, like cassettes, like what kind of cassettes to buy. Lisa Chase Wolf says, I'm a huge fan of the Way Huge Swollen Pickle Fuzz Pedal as an easy way to obtain tweakable sounds in a good setting fuzz pedal. So is that supposed to be like recreating the sound of, sending a signal through a pickle. And I'm being totally serious here. I don't know if a lot of people realize this. There's this weird thing where I know this is some weird stuff where you can send a sound and you take two wires and you run them into a pickle and it sends the signal through the pickle and you pick it up on the other end. It does something weird to it. And I think they do it with sausages, but I've heard of it with pickles. Is that supposed to be like that? I kept thinking about trying it out, but I've just never gotten around to it. But literally, like, what's her name? The woman that worked with Prince, and she does a lot of analog stuff. God, her name just went out of my freaking head. She's really famous. But I think she's done the whole pickle setup where you actually run guitar sounds through pickles. It's kind of crazy.
Lisa Chase Wolf says she believes it's a super modified muff.
Oh, Sylvia Massia, that's it. Did the pickle fuzz thing. Yeah, and they run through a pickle. I still don't understand exactly how it works. It's like a super, so the thing you're talking about is like a super modified big muff. Cool. I guess it's a big muff.
And S.K. Herman said sausage fattener by Dada Life.
No, sausage fattener is something completely different, which I actually have one of those and I love it. So sausage fattener is kind of like almost in a way as a lot like these garbage compressors, meaning, you can be a little subtle with them, but they're for just overdriving stuff. And I think the reason they call it the sausage fattener is like if you look at a waveform and you start distorting and saturating it, it stops looking like this and it just looks like this big sausage. I think that's where they came up with that. That is one of my favorite plugins in the whole world. And it's also got a funny, the whole interface of the thing, the sausage, and you turn it up and he starts looking angry and stuff like that. Yes, love to see the sausage getting angry. Great plugin. You got to go to bed, Muttix. Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging and watching and all that. I'm probably gonna have to go soon too because I've got to get on another video. Dimitri's asking, can you name any good cheap analog reverbs? Analog, you mean like a spring reverb or something like that? Because I never, there were tape delays that could kind of do a reverb thing. So when you think about an analog reverb, you're thinking about like now Radio Shack made some terrible ones. Oh my God. But you're talking about like a spring reverb or a plate reverb, but a plate reverb is this massive thing with a metal plate in a box. I don't know. And then you would have like an echo chamber, which is like a whole room, like a room that was echoey and it was like a room and you would have speakers in there and then a microphone. But I don't know about an analog reverb, just straight up analog reverb. Like how would you make the reverb? It was either spring or plate. Maybe somebody knows. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. Some people love spring reverbs. I've got a mono one back here, which I never liked that much, but in that video I did where I was comparing reverbs to plugins, I went ahead and brought up this. It's just a mono spring reverb. A lot of people loved it. I was like, actually, it is kind of cool. So, yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, you used to be able to go to like pawn shops and thrift stores and find stuff like that. And I can't find stuff like that anymore. I think everybody figured out about getting on Amazon or eBay. Yeah, and selling it. So it's like probably the best place to look is on eBay. Also go to Gear Sluts. Well, I don't think they call it Gear Sluts anymore. I think they changed the name.
Really?
Yeah, because I think people thought it was weird to call it Gear Sluts. I think they changed the name of it. But Reddit, has got great places for this stuff if you want to find out things, the Abbey Road plugins of those chambers. I love using a live echo chamber, and I use my garage out here right behind me as an echo chamber. Sometimes I want to actually build one at some point, but I need, I just need a lot of cinder block, and I would have to build like a big room or get like a big pipe or something like that. I don't know if I want to use a pipe though. It might make it sound kind of weird, Let's see, I'm just looking at Connor. Oh, Dan Electro Black Licorice pedal was fun. Octave Mesa-esque distortion. I haven't really used many Dan Electro pedals. It's funny, like I'm not a huge pedal person. I played for years in bands and I had like a chorus box, and then I used my Roland digital delay, the one that I've been using today. I was in a rack mount. I would just set it on top of my amp. But now that I'm in Tokyo Teens and doing gigs with them, I actually have a few pedals. I use, and it's not many. I've got like a little Zoom multi effects and a distortion box, and what else do I have? I mean, I got the delay. I'm never really used that many pedals, you know. Yeah, they might have changed the name from Gearslutz to. I just can't remember what it is. But I couldn't really recommend pedals because I just don't use them that much, and I'm not really like I don't experiment with that stuff. You know, with me, it's kind of like if I want a weird guitar sound, I'm usually going to do something with the amp or the mics or something like that. Not that I'm against them, I just never really got into them. I mean, funny thing is I've got a bunch of pedals over here that I don't even know where most of them came from. But I guess I should use them some. I got that weird. I want to use this Overlord. I've got this thing from the 90s. It was like oh God, what is this brand? It's I'm not recommending this. It's just it's Dean Markley, which always made me a little suspicious anyway. But I think the reason I'm impressed with this is it required 2 9-volt batteries, which must mean it's better, right? But it's just like this nasty distortion. I think I might have used it on something. The Overlord pedal. I mean, I got a bunch of stuff like that, but I just, now, Sky Magnet, Justin Mullinix from Risky Biscuit Band. Now that dude's got some pedals, and he can tell you all about them. Oh, and we've talked about maybe doing a stream where he just kind of comes in and we just go through his pedals because he's got like just an insane amount of them and like super expensive ones with all these different settings on it. He let me borrow one, and I couldn't figure it out. It had too many knobs on it. I was like, I just want something with 2 knobs. I turn it, and it sounds good, you know. Yeah, Rothloaf. I'm using a Zoom. Can't remember the model number. It's blue, and I can do multi-effects. I mean, the problem with it is like, just for something that I could do quickly to go out and do gigs, it was great. But I think I'd like to have a dedicated delay pedal and stuff like that. But it's not bad, man. It's pretty cool. You know, it sounds cool. You know, the thing about it is like, you know, you can make almost anything sound kind of good. I mean, like, I guess people get really caught up on this stuff. You know, people will see my videos and they'll see all the mic pre's and like, oh, well, that's easy when you got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear. And it's like, this stuff is not worth hundreds. It's worth a lot of money, but it ain't hundreds of thousands. But man, I've done a couple videos where all I use is, SM57s, and I just go into the interface, the universal audio interface, no mic modeling or no pre-modeling or anything. I'm just using the basic thing that's there, and I can make it sound good with that too. I mean, it's good to have all the gear, but it's just really more about, experimenting, trying something and coming up with a good performance and something that's kind of cool, You meant a reverb pedal, like a reverb pedal for mixing. I mean, sure, try it. I mean, you would be surprised the things that people have done on records. I can't remember what album it is, but I read this story about a Bee Gees album, and they'd gone to Italy to make an album. It's like, I don't remember. It was a way back. And the studio had caught on fire, and a lot of things were destroyed. But, it was back when you just couldn't go get us. There weren't like a lot of studios around. So they stayed there and worked, and they didn't, all the mics were destroyed. So I think they did a lot of the album using 57s and cheaper mics. And the story I heard is that they actually had to mix it, like hearing it in mono, because they didn't have all the speakers, and they just kind of got their way through it. And the thing actually won awards for being the greatly engineered album. Or so I got to look into this whole story. I can't remember where I read it. But point being, I don't know. I mean, I'll get into the gear and all that stuff and tweaking it out. But at the end of the day, I kind of don't care either. Like I do, but sometimes I just want to create. And I got to pull this up, and I bring this mic up all the time. And I've got to go back and listen. But the other night I was in here and I just wanted to do some vocals, and I'd had this hooked up from a live stream, and I didn't even want to bother hooking anything up. And I just sat here and I was singing. I was like doing these really high parts, and I'm just holding the mic. And this is something I pulled out of a broken headphone box. We don't even know what we think it's an EV. But anyway, I didn't even bother EQing it. I just hooked it up, and I got these cool vocal performances with it. Like, nobody cares. Like, at the end of the day, it's all about the performance. You'd be surprised how many records that you've listened to classic records, most likely classic records, because nowadays everybody's got gear and they're getting better sounds, but then people seem to be kind of obsessed with it. But you got to realize back in the day, a lot of times people didn't have that stuff, or I think also because back then people like partied a lot more and were drunk and on doing substances a lot more, so weird things would happen. But some of those records technically didn't sound good if you actually listened to them in that way. You compare them to other records at the time, you'll go, oh, it kind of doesn't sound good, but you never notice because they had these great songs and these great performances. That's where I put all my energy. But I do think I'm going to have to end the stream here soon because I got to go get something to
I did
eat.
want to throw this out there because I don't know much about it, but Bloor says, by the way, if the reverb rack unit is breaking down, put some IR pulses through it so you can still use your favorite settings.
Oh, I need to do that. Good idea, because I do have God, that's a great idea, because I've got I got Altiverb, so I could do it with Altiverb, and Altiverb does have a Rev 7, IR that somebody else made, but it's not my Rev 7. Mine does something weird. Oh, that's a great idea. I think I will do that. Hell yeah.
Request for another Tokyo Teens live stream. I said, boy, that was a lot of setup.
Yeah, we might
was
do
kinda
that.
crazy.
We hadn't been doing much lately just because I've been busy with this, and Tap and B have had things going on in their lives, and Jimmy actually got really sick
Real sick.
really sick. Like he got a bad flu twice. Like he came in and then we did a live stream and then he went back home and was sick for like a month. So and I got to finish the freaking album too, but there will be some other stuff coming up on that at some point. Somebody was oh, sorry. I just thought that was a question.
I mean, we're mostly there. I think I got most of it. But yeah, I think we just hit 2 hours as well.
Yeah. And
So-
I've got to eat and get back on. I'm working on another video right now. But I want to remind everybody, like I said, I'm going to be doing Patreon-only live streams. I'm going to go deeper into certain things on mixing right now because I'm just getting started. If you join my Patreon at the $10 a month level, you can get on there. We can do more questions. You'll be able to see them later. But I would like to know what would be the best time to do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and pick a time and hope people can watch. And maybe there'll only be 2 people watching, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because I feel,
private lesson.
yeah, it's basically like private lessons for smaller groups of people. So that'll be happening. So if y'all want to go check that out. But if you do sign up, please, there's a post on my Patreon. Let me know what times you think are good, because I'm going to make a decision in the next couple of days and I'm going to start doing these things. Because I do like live streaming, but sometimes I kind of want to have it be a little bit more focused on, a smaller subject and stuff like that. Anyway, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I'll be back next Wednesday. Harper, appreciate the help. Kit, nice seeing you. I can't wait till you're not sick anymore so we can actually be
Actually share our bed again?
Yes,
and,
I know.
have breakfast together and
I
stuff?
know. She's quarantining right now. This sucks. She's upstairs. I hate this, Nice shirt, by the way.
And what was I about to... Oh, so yeah, don't forget, check us out on Patreon. I just threw up the Discord link. You guys can always come over there to Discord and, chat with each other. A lot of folks have things to share, can answer questions. Billy pops in once in a while, but...
Yeah, I'd like to be on Discord more often. I'm just a combination of being busy, and then I go to Discord and I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm learning, though.
Tylo, he's not going to give away his blue shirt. Sorry.
No, shirt's not going. Sorry. There'll be other giveaways in the future. Oh, Crystal, we got to get those
We
things.
got to mail those
We need
CDs
to mail
out.
the CDs out from the contest today. It's not gotten done because she's been sick.
And don't forget, your other first place winners get
Yes.
a Patreon subscription. So,
Yes.
they've been getting their consultations, but you got to actually give them their subscriptions.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. All right.
Well, that's okay. It's good timing because you're about to start these private lessons.
Yeah. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks so much. Y'all have a good day. Be unique, and see you next Wednesday. Take 1. Take 2. Take 3. Take 4. Take 5. Take whatever.